When managing physical injury, sometimes we're faced with an unexpected secondary psychological injury. When the secondary psychological injury comes into play, we often find that that has a significant impact on the worker's recovery process. So this not only impacts on them psychologically, but also we find that it tends to impact on the physical component of the injury. So we see that there's longer recovery time frames, obviously increased costs, and that increased social impact to the individual and their family. We know that recovery at work, well, always recovery at work is the best option. I guess being able to identify those people that are in the risk category. So that's really what we'd like to do to be able to prevent them from progressing into psychological injuries. There's limited information, I guess, around how to manage these types of complex claims and complex injuries. At the moment, our recovery at work coordinators complete the REBRO screening, and from that we look at the people that are high risk and we look at offering them some psychological support in terms of managing with the challenges that come with a physical injury. Sometimes what we find is that months down the track, people that we thought that were low risk or medium risk end up then still developing those secondary psychological claims. It's still quite an extended recovery period, and we would like to understand how to be able to better manage those claims. At the moment, we have limited technology, I suppose, in how we're addressing the problem. In addition to psychological interventions, we've found that physical therapies can often assist in the recovery process for psychological conditions. Some of the things that we would do is engaging with exercise physiologists, re-engaging the worker in activities outside of their home, and also getting the benefits of physical activity. The limitations for us are, I guess, quite diverse in that there's the limitations that we have in being able to identify this group of individuals that have secondary psychological conditions. So we find that sometimes, particularly in the regional areas, there's a lack of access to the services that we would like to provide. Then there's the other component around the data. So in terms of capturing data and things like that, at the moment the data that we receive is from the regulator, and that's provided by all the insurers to the regulator. And so the data that they capture only includes the primary injury type. We rely heavily on phone communication or Skype services. Unfortunately, this isn't always possible because of the signal in the areas, because of the technology present in the areas in which these people live. So in terms of our wish list of what we would like to be able to manage secondary psychological injuries, it would be helpful for us to understand the risk factors for people that are likely to have secondary psychological injuries, so that we can put appropriate strategies in place for those individuals to prevent them from heading down that pathway. Number 2 would be a bit of a checklist for us to have to be able to identify some risk factors when people are starting to head down the path of second psychological injuries. And third of all, I guess, understanding what sorts of things we need to do to intervene to assist these people before they spiral down and end up in this really bad situation. So I think it would be really helpful for the recovery at work coordinators to have a bit of a roadmap around what that would look like. For example, in terms of enacting the process, these are the steps that you would need to take. Something that's really simplified like that, because it would need to be applied to many different health districts and entities across Ministry of Health. Be interested to hear what the group comes up with in terms of the best practice strategies that are currently being used and how they're getting improved outcomes. That would be really helpful for us to understand. So we would want to be making sure that what we're looking to implement is based on evidence.